Hey everybody, this is my 10-gallon living room tank, and tonight we're just going to do a simple water change, a little before and after video. I wasn't going to bother to shoot any video of it, but I don't shoot much video of this tank, and I do like to show it to everybody once in a while. It's a very simple little tank, but I do like it a lot. The main reason we're going to look at it tonight is because of the filter. It's got a little hang on the back filter. But if you'll notice, almost none of the water is flowing through the filter side. Some of it is, but very little of it is. And so we definitely need to get in here and get all this stuff cleaned up. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I often go on about the nitrogen cycle and aquariums and whether or not you can function without a filter, and how the filter really acts mostly as a source of water circulation. This tank doesn't have a particularly deep gravel bed or anything like that, but it's not heavily stocked, and the nitrifying bacteria, the bacteria that we really need in there that deals with the ammonia, that can live on the substrate, and it can live on the rocks and the gravel and everything that are in there. So this tank itself has some capacity to regulate the nitrogen cycle. I heard a car coming up the driveway. I got distracted for a minute there. I think the missus is home from work now. So this tank has the capacity to cycle itself without having any kind of actual biological filtration in the sense of this physical little sponge thing here. Obviously it's got biological filtration in the sense that all of the biologicals in the tank are what are really doing most of the work, because as you can see, very little water is even flowing through this. So if the water's just flowing in here and then flowing right back out and back into the tank, it's not really going through the filter, and it's not really going through the biofilter for the most part. So what we're left with is simple water circulation in a very, very basic tank. So in reality, I could simply take that filter off the back altogether and put a small power head in here, and that's it. The water would circulate around the tank. The tank itself would have enough biologicals in it to keep the ammonia and the nitrite under control. The water circulation would keep the gas exchange and keep the water moving around so that the ammonia-rich water could come in contact with the stationary bacteria that lives in the substrate and on the rocks and everything. But the tank itself is capable of handling its own ammonia load in this case because it's such a lightly stocked tank. And of course, I've got gravel and everything else in there. If this was a bare bottom tank with lots of fish in it, that would be a very different story. So not really anything shocking or groundbreaking there, but this is one of my less well maintained tanks. I think we'll do a nitrate test on it just to find out what's going on in here. I don't even remember the last time I did a water change on this tank, but we are going to go downstairs real quick. I'm going to show you how I do my filters. We're going to use a different little filter frame there. The large size, which is what I have downstairs, we'll just show that for demonstration purposes. But I'll show you how I do my filters and set them up. It's really inexpensive, and it saves a lot of money doing it that way. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my water change and all that stuff, and we'll come back and we'll do the after series. Alright, we're also going to have a little look in here while we're doing the water change. You can see how a little bit of water is actually flowing through the filter side of the filter. I'm even going to pull this out altogether tonight and clean that out. It's been a really long time since I've done that. But I wanted to get an idea of what the gravel looks like in here. We're going to do a couple little crunches down into the gravel and see how much stuff we can get coming up in this gravel vac. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot. So you can see this tank, even though it is very, very seldom maintained, I hardly ever do water changes in this tank. Back there in the corner, I'm getting a little tiny bit of stuff, but I mean, if I were to do this in some of my tanks downstairs, the water just turns black as it goes up through the column there. So that's all I wanted to do, was get a good look at how much crud we were going to get in the gravel vac. So there you go, not much at all. I'm going to go ahead and call that the end of the drain, and we'll fill it back up. I'll check the nitrates and we'll see where we stand. So sit tight and wait for your after. Alright, just a quick look at how I set up my aquarium filters. This is the hang on the back filters. The Tetra Whisper filters all have the same type of setup. This is a large size. They do make a small one, which is what we are dealing with on the tank upstairs right now. But just for the sake of example, we can look at one of these. Normally these come with like a sock type fitting. It's like a sleeve that just slides up from the bottom, and then you fold this down over the top lip of it, and then you put your little clip on there and clip it into place. But I just use a simple sheet of this. It is the Polyfill Extra Loft batting. Get a whole roll of it, just basically unroll it. I cut myself a little strip off, and then you unfold this strip. You cut yourself a section of that strip off, and you got yourself one of these, which I won't be able to do one-handed, but you don't have to have it all the way around, and if you're not holding anything in it like carbon, it doesn't have to be a sock, so it can simply just go around it. Hold on a minute here. Now, imagine it wrapped around it like that, except imagine the top lips clipped over top of it, and it just sits around it like that, slides right down into the filter, and that little simple piece of polyfill right there, batting, is what I use as my filter material. And again, we're going to use a smaller piece for the filter upstairs, but it's as simple as that. And this thing of batting cost, I think, $12, and I would get, I don't know, over 200, maybe almost 300 of these size pieces. So if you're only using this size or smaller, you will get quite a lot of value for your money if you're using that for filter material. So let's get back upstairs and see what the tank looks like now that it's done. Alright, and there's the after. Now, I know it looks like there's no fish in the tank, but they're all laying low because I just got done pouring the water back in. It's only been about 10 minutes since I finished up with the water change. So again, I knew there wasn't going to be any huge difference between the before and after. I was a little surprised at how high the nitrates were, though. They are definitely red. I'd put that somewhere between 40 and 60 parts per million, but it has been months since I've done a water change on this tank. I really honestly don't even remember the last time I did one, or how long it's been. So you can see it's just got the few guppies in there. I did feed the tank a little bit, and everybody's just kind of hanging out doing their thing. So the final point I wanted to make, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but this tank does not have a heater in it. So this tank always sits there at room temperature, and this is of course in our living room, so this is upstairs and it stays a little warmer than it does down in the basement. But this tank is probably no warmer than the mid-70s. In fact, let me put you on pause here. I'll run in the other room and get my thermometer. Alright. "72 degrees. 72 even. So there you go, 72 degrees, unheated, Corys, glow light tetras, and guppies. I used to have some neons in here, but over the years they've all kind of died off and fade away. It's about time I start adding back to this tank. It's got very little stock in it, as you can see. And I honestly don't spend a lot of time in this room, and this is another one of those sort of out of sight, out of mind tanks. I don't come in here a lot, and therefore I don't really think about this tank a lot, but I really do enjoy it. It's just a nice, pretty little tank. It's real simplistic, really, really easy to maintain. As you just saw, I've done the first water change in months, and that took all of 15 minutes, and that's including all the time I was, shooting the videos and running upstairs and back downstairs and getting, props for the video and all that. It still only took me about 15 or 20 minutes to get all this stuff done. So very, very low maintenance, nice, pretty little tank. Not intimidating at all if you're new to the hobby and you're considering getting into fish keeping or whatever. It's not really hard or challenging. So there you go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you're subscribed. And don't forget, this one here is my 10-gallon living room tank. So thanks again. I'll see you real soon in the next one.